So we've been doing the Thanksgiving retreat, and this is day 8, and it's been very nice to get into retreat mode. And I always feel like after the Thanksgiving retreat is very much like a slow landing into winter retreat. Traditionally in the past, we would do Thanksgiving retreat at the Angela Center in Santa Rosa, which, of course, the Ursula Hall where we would do the retreat half burned down in 2017. We stopped doing it there at that time. They weren't able to host us anymore. And traditionally when we did it there, Lumpur would go to Thailand right after. He wouldn't come back to the monastery, he would fly to Thailand right after that. And that was like the yearly pulse. And now things are in a transition period, so each year everything's different now. 2018 was different, 2019 was different, 2020, 2021, they're all very different from each other. So it's like a transition period. So we're doing these online retreats, and there's benefits and drawbacks to them. Of course, the drawback being you're not in person with people. The benefit being, I guess if you don't want to be there, you just turn it off. If you think that's a benefit. But most people do want to be there, so we have a core group that is very diligent online, both local and international, both West Coast and international. So people in different time zones still plugging in, even though it might be difficult sometimes. But like for some people, they're plugging into our evening puja and it's midnight for them, but still plugging in. Or like Lumpur getting up early to give a talk at 4 a.m. And today, of course, it'll be Ajahn, which also is interesting because he's not at Amaravati right now. He's actually at Oxford. And he sent an email saying, yes, he's on for the talk today. Sorry he couldn't let us know earlier. He's been very full on at Oxford. I don't know what the invitation was about or whatever, but he was invited to some sort of special dinner. Of course, he didn't eat dinner, but he was invited. He probably just drank tea, but he was invited to this special dinner, and it was like 3 different parts in 3 different areas, and there was you had to wear these special robes to be at this dinner, so you had to wear this gown, and it was different gowns for each room, and to get into the next room, you had to be sure to take your lap cloth or your little napkin that was specially given to you at that dinner, and you had to present it at the door, and then you were allowed into the next chamber. And so I don't know exactly what was going on, but it sounded interesting. So I actually thought he was joking when he previously said he was going to all these different Hogwarts rooms, and apparently Oxford is Hogwarts, or Hogwarts is Oxford, and so Pembroke's study or whatever that he was sort of being shown a tour of, but sounded very playful and very interesting. So sometimes things can get very heavy, and so we need to lighten them up. We need to lighten up the heart in various ways. In Thai, they have a word, bao jai. Jai is heart, and bao means light. And so bao jai is just it's the opposite of nak jai. Nak means heavy, so heavy-hearted. Bao jai is light-hearted. And sometimes our own story or something that we saw that we didn't like, or some way where we were spoken to that we didn't like, or some criticism, or some maybe somebody spoke to us in a way that wasn't respectful or whatever, and then we get very heavy about it, and we that feeling builds up, that negativity gets in, and the feeling builds up over time, and then eventually and then suddenly we're stuck in dukkha, and we can't get out. So it's important to have these occasions to stop and reflect and see what is our situation. And we can actually, one of the themes of the retreat is dukkha is a choice. That's Luangpur Pasano's been talking about, whoever's been attending his talks at 1 p.m. and everybody's interested. Everybody's invited, by the way, to attend those if people want to. It's not we have an open door policy here. Anybody can attend these teachings and meditations, and that dukkha is a choice, and that any time, if we have the faith and the courage and the decisiveness to do so, we can actually drop that burden. So it's like carrying a heavy rock around. When we're heavy-hearted, it's like carrying a heavy rock around, and then when we decide to drop it, it's just like, oh, wow, that's such a relief. And we might think that carrying that rock around is going to make us stronger, or it's going to be helpful in some way, but actually dropping it, we're just so much freer, and we can move about much easier, and we can think more clearly also, because we aren't just breaking our back carrying this heavy rock around. And we can do that anytime. We can just decide to drop things. But they're sticky, but that's what upadana is. It's this stickiness. The upadana causes us to be like stuck to it. Maybe we could say that there's a rock and our hands are glued to it. So we have to kind of like try to like shake it off and get the glue off our hands. That's like the clinging. So, but then when we're able to, it's going to be quite a relief. And then whatever we pick up after that, it's not going to be as heavy. It's just going to be pebbles, and we can just drop them more easily. Or we can just pick things up as we need them and then set them down. Ajahn Chah said, well, like, it's not that you never pick anything up, but when you have wisdom, you pick it up like this with your hand open, holding it on the palm up, not like this, gripping it tightly. And so that's some ideas, some reflections.